Nobody Black I know is really excited about the 4th of July because it is what Frederick Douglass said it is. It is the celebration of slaveholders who freed themselves from having to pay taxes to the crown for their slave empire.
Why is it so controversial to be a proud American these days? Overwhelming data proves that progressive Democrats are rooting for the wrong type of pride, and their hatred for America has become extremely apparent ahead of the country's 250th birthday. A new NBC poll finds that 29% of Democrats are either extremely or very proud of the country. But this is also a reflection of the liberals who are being elected into leadership positions across the nation. And this only serves as a wake-up call to get them far away from public office as possible. Like whack jobs like James Telerico, who disrespects the American flag.
I often think when reclaiming symbols, I think about the American flag. The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us.
Lippman. How is it complicated? Explain to me.
We should all get like little flag pins.
We should.
I have it on my.
People used to wear that. No, I think this is problematic rhetoric. I think that there are Democratic congressmen and senators you see on the Hill who will wear the American flag. That this is, if you see,
I like
this,
that's an achievement.
If you see this area, Democrats, it took years for them to get past the Iraq and George W. Bush kind of seizing patriotism. And I do think that if you look at these poll numbers during the Biden administration, this is almost like a partisan issue where people feel less proud when the other party is in charge.
So. I think it's a lot of gaslighting, honestly, because this is a talking point coming from the Democrat Party, coming from donors. It's a message that the Democrat apparatus wants pushed, and it's an attempt to try to shape the minds of Americans into hating American policy. Anything, particularly under this administration, anything that's happening in America is bad. So I think the whole thing about the flag is a lie. I think it's gaslighting at its finest, and it's done for the sole purpose of stirring emotions in people.
But it certainly cannot play well in my home state of Texas, because I mentioned Saffoldy before, like where I grew up, it was a very diverse county, but when you drove through my neighborhood, everybody has American flags. It's not controversial.
Not intention.
And he's, obviously trying to be the next senator there. But the American flag isn't the only thing self-proclaimed biblical scholar James Telerico hates. In a recently unearthed interview, he shared these thoughts on masculinity, whiteness, and Christianity itself.
My imagination is also just limited by my own background and identity, right? My whiteness, my masculinity, all those things limit my imagination. I always think of myself as a Christian who hates Christianity, right? And like I always get drawn back into it.
Okay, Rosen, you're one of the smartest men I know.
That's true.
But
can I get this in writing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put it on his book.
I was going to say, so how limiting, though, has been your masculinity and your whiteness for you in your career?
The follow-up question that needs to be placed to Mr. Telerico is whether he regards that a black woman from Detroit would also be similarly limited by her perspective and her imagination.
No, she's been limited by the white men who have been limiting
by the racist roads of Pete Buttigieg.
Just to go back to the anti-Americanism that was manifest in those polling numbers when he did the left-right breakdown of those numbers, this reflects the steady indoctrination of Democratic leaders. President Obama famously said when he was in office, I see American exceptionalism the same way the Brits see British exceptionalism, the same way the Greeks see Greek exceptionalism.
How's that turn out for Britain?
And President Biden could not get a sentence, or most sentences, out of his mouth, but when he was speaking about the founders, he always took care to say, quote, flawed though they were. So this demonization of the founding and the founders has been ongoing for some time, and I think the Democratic rank and file, as manifest in those poll numbers, are following that. The last thing I want to say very quickly is that I'm probably, with growing regret, the only person on this set who has living memories of the bicentennial celebration of 1976. And it was universal. There was no one side, the other side, where that celebration was concerned. And we're a very different country today. Our population was around 215 million back then. We're over 340 million now.
Yeah.
But that is very striking to me, the difference between 1976 and today in patriotic civic sentiment.
Information. Truth is freedom. is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.